Welcome to the Craft Beer Podcast. I'm Steven Shomler, your host. So excited, back here in Bozeman for the third year in a row. It's like, why does he love Bozeman so much? Aha, glad you asked. You can go to adventuresinbozeman.com and see all of my Bozeman-centric content, be it travel articles, food articles, culinary podcasts, and more importantly for this podcast, all of the craft beer podcasts I've done. And yes, I occasionally put some cider in the craft beer podcast, at least in the Portland area. We love cider. It's part of the beer community, the craft beer community in Portland, so I just incorporate that wherever in the country I go. So today I'm with Anna Deal, Lockhorn Cider House. I have that right?
That's right.
So excited to have you on the podcast and tell your story. And you are the only cidery in Bozeman.
Correct.
And you're the second oldest cidery in Montana.
That's right.
And the person that has the oldest cidery, bless her heart, she just has a really small operation. She's not necessarily has a cider house.
That's right. She just bottles her cider.
Nice. Well, and your cider house is amazing. And what you don't want to do, I'm going to be really clear, if you are thinking of coming to Bozeman and you love cider, you do not want to look at the Lockhorn Cider House Facebook page and look at all the amazing different ciders they make, because you have what you call rotators.
That's right.
And every couple weeks, you seem to have a new, amazing flavor. Like, it's a good thing I don't live here. Every 2 weeks, okay, I want the new one. I want the new one. I want the new one. So it's amazing because we'll get into it, but you have some regular line, you have some seasonals, and then you just get wild hairs and get stuff and make all kinds of different amazing ones. And
that's right. Yep, it's always changing.
I love that creativity. Okay, questions to ask everybody on all my podcasts. Where were you born?
I was born in Anchorage, Alaska.
And what high school did you go to?
Chugiak High.
And Chugiak, that's a town, I assume, in Alaska?
Chugiak, yep.
Chugiak. I'm not even going to try. What's the mascot there?
It's the Mustang.
The Mustang. And as I understand correctly, you and your husband moved to Bozeman in 2001 so that you guys could open a cidery.
Yep, 2011.
Excuse me, 2011. Yeah, that's 2011, you moved here to open a cidery.
That's right.
So you guys wanted to be self-employed.
We did.
And you thought a cidery might be a good way to go.
Yes.
And you loved cider.
And I love cider.
And part of the reason, tell me if I understand correctly, to choose Bozeman is your husband previously had gone to school here at MSU.
That's right. He went to the nursing program here at MSU and just loved it and wanted to get back.
Yeah, and he was in pediatric nursing.
Pediatric nursing in Anchorage at the Alaska Native Medical Center. And we both just loved Bozeman and wanted to get back here and work for ourselves, and decided we'd start a cider house.
So as I understand it, 2011, roughly January, you bought the building we're in now.
Yes. And
you worked really hard for 3 years, and in 2014, in the dead of winter, is when you opened the cider house.
Yep.
But to say that you bought the building we're in now is kind of deceptive, because we're recording right now on a second story.
Yes.
The building you bought did not have a second story.
No, it was a basic cinder block 1960s garage surrounded by weeds, and we tore open the doors and popped a space out for the tasting room, planted a sod roof, went up with it for our production area, and planted about 200 wildflowers and trees and created a little oasis here in Bozeman.
Yeah, it's amazing. So some people say, wow, they took them a long time to get the cidery open. You were doing like major remodel.
Yep.
Adding a second floor, adding what is now the tasting room, etc.
Yep.
That's just crazy. Okay, so how did Bozeman respond? You open roughly January, it's like 20 below, right?
It's 20 below.
When the day one, when you have your grand opening or your opening event.
Yep, we sent a message out on Facebook. My husband had pneumonia, and we were wanting to open earlier, but we sent a message out. We said we're going to open, and 30 people showed up that day, and we were just slammed. It was 20 below, and people were here enjoying cider and totally undaunted by the frigid temperatures.
Yeah, I know what. I lived in Minnesota for 3 years, and so they almost take pride, when it's below zero, going to an event. And I suspect it's similar here in Montana.
Similar. Yep. We do have an outdoor patio with fire, so that helps.
That's all you need. You just need to look at the fire and you think you're warmer. I mean, It kind of works that way.
Yep,
then you just have thick gloves.
And the cider sort of warms your belly.
Yeah, I learned some things in Minnesota I didn't need to know. Like, I'm good till -5, but I can feel when it's like -6 or 7 because my bones start to hurt no matter how many jackets I'm wearing.
This is true.
And it's just, I should know that fact. And then I have a warm winter fabric jacket.
Okay.
below zero, it crinkles like potato chips. And it's the craziest thing. It's like, what is crinkling in there? What is happening? And it's a fabric. Like, it doesn't feel plasticky. Like, there's no glass in there. I don't understand. But it crinkles really loud when it gets below zero.
Oh, that's funny. And there's something that happens in your nose hairs at about -10.
Yeah, it's all bad. And if it gets really too cold, you can feel your eyes kind of freezing up, and you're like, I have to go in right now. This is not good. So where'd the name Lockhorn come from?
Well, we spent a lot of time in Alaska, about 150 miles north of Anchorage, off the road system. And we have found two skulls of moose that were locked together. They were buddies their whole lives. They roam around together, pal around, and then in the rut they decide to get feisty. They got stuck, and they died that way. And for some reason, that resonated with us about sort of the triumph and tragedy of the human condition, and I guess rut and fall and apple season. Somehow that connected to cider, but we just like the name Lockhorn.
Yeah, it's hauntingly romantic.
Yes.
I like that. I mean, it's like we either need, like, since we're in Montana, some cowboy poetry about it, or I want a good blues song about it. I mean, there's a lot there.
Yes.
I like that a lot. So where did your personal cider journey begin?
Well, I was really struggling with like a celiac condition. I couldn't have gluten at all. And we were also just canning fish and making jam and making salami and making cider, and thought, well, I can actually drink this. This is great. And a lot of other people are struggling with gluten, and maybe this could really take off.
So your first experience though with cider is you were making it for yourself to have something to drink.
Yes.
Okay. And you guys must have been pretty good at it because you kept doing it.
I think we improved, yeah. We had a few blunders, but yeah.
And then when you guys got here to, I suppose the benefit of having a couple years of major construction work on the building you bought is you had a lot of times to hone your process and get even better at making cider.
That's right. Yep. So our strategy really was, if we can make good cider with the crappiest juice there is, then when we get good quality juice, we can make great cider. And so we tried all sorts of different yeasts and tested it out on our friends, and our basement was full of bubbling experiments, and we just worked at it and experimented.
So you guys roughly launched with 6 ciders,
yes.
Which is amazing. And these days, today, this is fall 2020. So if you're listening to this podcast in 2022 and things have changed, just give us both some grace. But right now you have 7 regular ciders that are all 7 are almost always on tap in the tap room.
Correct.
Which is a general rule. Again, if you're hearing this podcast and there's not 7 regulars on tap, don't be grumpy. And then 6 of those you can.
Yes.
And we're here upstairs. Where's the canning room?
It's just right next door upstairs.
Right over there. I'm looking at it and I'm seeing it. Now we are upstairs. I came up quite a steep flight of stairs to get here. How did you get that canning system up here?
We brought it up in our little outdoor elevator that we built, and all the cans go up the elevator and down the elevator, and we're just packed in a real tight space here in downtown Bozeman. So
directly behind me, the door's open, and then there's a platform out there that's an outdoor elevator platform, basically.
Yes. So the cans, every morning the cans go down and out into the van, and off they go.
And you keep this heated in the winter, I'm sure, so the cans don't freeze over.
Yes.
Wow. Oh my goodness. And what did I love Nat West, Reverend Nat? What did he say about this amazing space you have up here?
He figured we were the most efficient use of space that he'd ever seen. Our tanks are 2 stories high, so we go vertical, and we just pack it all in.
And you got the canning in 2018, the canning machine.
Yes.
And I bet that was life-changing.
That really was. It's made a huge difference. Before that, we were using a mobile canning company, which was great because we couldn't afford our own canner, but we had to move the tables of our tasting room outside about once a month and set up the canning unit in the tasting room, and people would kind of drive by and rubberneck going, what is going on in there? But so we were really thrilled to have our own canner.
I understand. The closest I have in my own journey is my son does his own filming, and he rented a space where he made the master bedroom his studio. So he has his studio set up, but when I do filming for myself at home, I have to set up the lights, set up all the stuff, move all the furniture, film, then tear it all down, then put all my equipment away. And I'm jealous of my son. He has his own studio that's like the lights and everything are permanently up.
Right. Yeah. Just having it all ready to go is just so huge.
And it's pretty amazing. I don't know if I should confess this, but I will. I overschedule myself when I'm Bozeman because I want to get as many good stories as I can. And, I think, I'll have time for lunch, and there's amazing places to eat. And there's been more than one occasion where, I have 10 minutes to get to the next place, so I'm going to be 10 minutes late, and I haven't eaten, and it's 1 o'clock. So I'll stop in a town pump and get, those chicken things that are kind of made of chicken, I'm not sure, and then the really dried oval burrito. No offense to town pump, but I need that fried food, and then I'm off and running. And I see your stuff everywhere in all the retail spaces, town pump, etc. You've got your stuff everywhere around here.
Yep. So we self-distribute. We've got Mike, the cider man. We sort of joke he's like the milkman for cider, and he just keeps everyone supplied. We've got it in all the major grocery stores, lots of bars and restaurants in the Gallatin Valley, and over towards Big Sky and Gardner
and Gardner and Livingston. That's the Paradise Valley.
Exactly.
And around here, Gallatin County, County 6, and I think Big Sky. I think Big Sky is part of Gallatin County. I guess I shouldn't. It's okay if I don't know that, but it feels like I should know that by now. But you definitely go out to Big Sky.
Yep.
But then you have, and that's all self-distributed, and then you have a distributor who handles your stuff in central Montana.
Correct.
And what again are the towns in central Montana?
Great Falls and Helena.
Okay, and then lots and lots
of little towns.
There's lots and lots of little towns, and it is crazy how many little towns there are in Montana. And your cans, I'm going to have pictures up, but you're in the midst of a rebrand right now.
Yes.
So 6 months from now or a year from now, all your cans are going to look different than they do now.
Yes.
And they'll all look the same. You're keeping the name of the business the same.
We're keeping Lockhorn, but we're going to go for just a little more consistency across our cans.
Because when you start up, you make this can this way and this label this way, and then then when there are 6 of them sitting together on a shelf, it doesn't look as good.
Exactly.
Yep.
We want it to all be this beautiful picture with beautiful apple colors and
the only reason I mentioned the rebrand is people are like, oh, what happened? That's going to change is coming, and that's going to be great. But then when that gets done, then your next step is your next plan, hope, is to be able to distribute your stuff throughout all of Montana.
All of Montana. Yep.
Yeah, that's
So
and then
our production was really bottlenecked by filtration. So we just got a new centrifuge filter, and we are ready to go.
And then poor Mike's going to have to drive to Glen.
We'll keep Mike local. Yeah,
you're not going to make him drive to Jordan.
Well, we would, but he's so busy right now. And, yep.
Okay, so we're going to drink 4 of your ciders. At least I'll drink them, and you'll talk about them. And these are some of the ones that are around regularly.
Yes.
But let's talk about some of your seasonals. Now, the seasonals are the ones that almost every year you tend to make those.
Yes.
Because then there's these crazy one-offs you do. And I want to mention those because that's the one everybody's going to want. But we're in fall right now, and so almost every fall you do an Italian plum cider?
Yes. So we've got this beautiful Italian plum tree that grows at the cider house. And so we pick them and cut them up and blend them up and use it to make a cider, and it is just awesome. It's this beautiful pink color.
And then tell me about this generally Christmas one, tangerine
mimosa. And it is a huge hit. People just go nuts over it. And in the winter, you just kind of want that citrusy vitamin C flavor.
I love on some Sunday mornings, I tend to only drink gin before noon. And then after 12 o'clock, I'll drink everything. But gin and juice. I love me some gin and orange juice or gin and pink grapefruit juice. But once in a while, I see in the stores in my neck of the woods, tangerine juice.
Okay.
And that sweetness of that with the gin.
Just incredible.
It's amazing. So a tangerine mimosa, that sounds fantastic. And then early January, you tend to make a blackberry?
Yes. Yeah. And it's just a beautiful color.
I bet that's fantastic.
It's awesome.
I just want to have some now because one of my superpowers is what alcohol goes with alcohol. And I guarantee you the blackberry is a great mixer with something. I don't know what, but
this is true. One thing that people love to do is mix our ciders. And so the blackberry or the raspberry actually goes really great with the 3 chili.
Because blackberry does really good with heat. People don't think about it. And I skipped a little season. I'm skipping around, but forgive me if you're listening. You do a pumpkin every year.
Yep, pumpkin spice right around the fall.
And those are always fun. Excellent. And then you do a holiday pear cider.
Holiday pear is just delicious. Yep, that's fun.
And is there a partridge in a pear tree on that label?
I thought of it that way.
A holiday pear. Yeah,
that's good.
And then you do a rose petal for what holiday?
Rose for Valentine's Day. Yes.
And rose is one of those. Rose is like coconut. I love coconut in things, but usually it's done wrong.
Right.
Usually rose and lavender can taste like hand lotion.
Or soap, yes.
Yeah. I have no doubt that your rose petal is amazing.
No, it's amazing. It's just like smelling a rose. It's beautiful.
Okay, so that enough of those are some. There's some you can look on there. Just go to their Facebook page and just go to the photos and just look, and you'll see all these amazing ciders. And remember, some of them are seasonal, some of them are rotators. They come and go. They may never make them again. But when you come here, come right away. If you're staying for a week, because maybe they have one in the beginning of the week and a different one at the end of the week. Who knows if you have that cutoff? So maybe visitors get two. Yeah. And if you live in Bozeman, you just need to come here every week and try the new cider.
Yes.
That's my. And if
we do our First Tap Friday every 2 weeks.
First Tap Friday. Okay, but they come every week, have a regular, and then every other week they get a new one, and then the regular, and then okay. I'm emotionally available for them to do that. Before we drink now, which are the ones we're going to drink? Tell me the names of these first.
So we've got our Bone Dry.
Okay.
It's our base, and then we've got a grapefruit mint.
Yep. Which
people just love, especially in the summer, on the river.
Yep.
We've got our Flathead Cherry.
Oh, this is the Flathead Cherry.
This is the Flathead Cherry.
Oh, fantastic.
It's insane. And then we do our backyard blend, which is really fun. People bring us their own apples from their backyard, and we press them, and it's just awesome.
All right, so let's. These are four. And I'm only drinking these. It's not really gluttony. It's just to help the listeners. So the first one is your, what do you call it?
This is the backyard blend.
This one here.
This one here that you've got.
Incredibly clear.
It's very clear.
And people just bring you their apples.
We got 15,000 pounds of apples last year.
Wow.
That they don't want. And so it...
Damn, that's good cider. That's really good cider.
Yeah, it's really complex. There's a lot of crab apples and heirloom apples from old trees. And it just comes together with this crazy variety into this beautiful cider.
Okay, and what's the next one?
Next down the line, you've got our Bone Dry.
Bone Dry. So it's not a sweet cider.
No, and that's kind of what makes us unique. We tend to have all of our ciders are pretty dry on the dry side.
Yeah, I'm okay with some sweet, but as I get older, I like more dry flavors. Mm-hmm. Like when I was in my 20s, if I was going to have a little snack with a cup of coffee before I went to bed, it was a cookie, and now I want a pickle. I've become an old man, but this is really nice. Yeah.
So it's a really crisp, clean flavor. We don't add any sulfites. It's just there's no residual sugars. So you can really taste the difference. And we've had so many people say they feel the difference the next day.
That's kind of blowing my mind. It's really, really good. And some dry ciders almost have so many tannins, it kind of it has alum in it or something,
Mm-hmm.
And this is dry, but it makes my mouth water and want more.
Right. It's very drinkable.
Oh, it's dangerously drinkable. I think I could just sit downstairs and just drink 4 of them without even realizing it. And then okay, I need to get an Uber. I'm not driving tonight. Man, incredibly smooth. That is fantastic. And this is one people can just buy 6 packs. They can take them home.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Okay. And then next,
we've got our grapefruit mint.
Grapefruit mint. I'm thinking this needs some alcohol.
Bizarre idea, but people just love it, and it's a really popular one on the river in the summer.
So I wish we were filming this because people would have seen I took a sip, and then I looked at you with shock on my face because I didn't think it'd be bad or anything, but this is spectacular and crazy and insane. I don't even know what to do with it. I can't quite think. Any idea where the idea came from for this?
Well, I claim that I came up with the idea, and my husband says he came up with the idea. So we came up with the idea, maybe spontaneously, independently, together.
That's how the universe works. It whispered in both your ears.
That's right. Yep.
Because this is amazing. You said, grapefruit mint, and I'm like, okay, well, we'll need that alcohol to that. I'll think of some fun alcohol to add to it. And I love adding rum or gin or vodka to, ciders or, certain things that I try, and this needs nothing.
No, it's perfect.
It really is. Wow.
And it's in a can. So
it is. Oh, this is a regular one. This is
a regular one that's in a can. You can take it on the river. Yeah.
All right, I'm going to buy I'm going to get a 6-pack of this and a 6-pack of the Bone Dry to take home. And no offense to cider makers, but cider's not my thing. I mean, I don't go around, bringing cider home all the time. But this is really, really interesting. Although I will eventually probably try it with gin just because, I have to.
I think it would be good with gin.
Okay, now I don't even want to try the Flathead Cherry because I don't need to take 3 6-packs home. I'm afraid it's going to be magnificent too. So Flathead Cherries, people that are not from Montana,
right,
if they were to think of a fruit that they were to connect to Montana, it'd be the huckleberry. And once they get here, there's huckleberry everything. I stop at St. Regis. I drive I-90 through Spokane, and I stop at St. Regis at the little gas station there, and they have this quirky rest stop and an amazing huckleberry milkshake. El Camino Bar, I was there this week and did a podcast with them and had some amazing cocktails. And Alicia, the bartender there, she's amazing, and they have a mojito on the menu. But on the secret menu is a huckleberry mojito, and that is spectacular.
That is good.
But really, even more Montanan than huckleberries, and not to offend any Montanan, but flathead cherries. I mean, there's a lot of cherries grown around Flathead Lake, if I understand correctly, and it's a big deal around here.
Big deal. Yep, that lake makes a little microclimate, and the orchards just grow these amazing cherries.
Yeah, and you're just across the street. I think I could almost throw a football from here and hit Little Star Diner.
Yes.
And they make everything there. Did you know that? They make their own butter. They make their own sour cream. It's ridiculous. And they make their own flathead cherry jam. All right.
Okay.
Enough waxing eloquent about flathead cherries. I really don't want to taste this because I'm afraid it's going to be so amazing. I have to buy like 3 6-packs.
It's insane.
All right. Wow, that's really good. And how long have you been making the flathead cherry?
Well, we started making it in 2017, and it took us a little while to secure a consistent source of the juice. But we've now got a real consistent source of flathead cherries, and we're bringing it back full steam. We're going to start canning it again. And so ours is unique in that it's just flathead cherry juice. There's nothing else.
Exactly. Yeah, it's not like you took apple juice and then added a little bit of cherry in it for color and then called it, No,
this is just flathead cherries.
This is messing with my head also, because I've had just plain old cherry juice, like tart cherry juice. Don't ask me why, but I've had lots of cherry juice. I like plain old cherry juice, and this tastes like cherry juice, but it's cider. And then so you get the cherry juice, and then I'm drinking an alcoholic beverage. Oh man, this is cider. Right. It's so crazy. This is amazing.
Yeah, it's insane.
I think this one must sell out all the time.
It goes fast. Yep. Mike, our cider man, he likes to joke that it's like when you drool while you're drinking. Yeah. Something is special.
And I have to tell you, this one I do want to. I want to experiment with some rum. I don't know if it'll work, but I want to try it. A dark rum.
I agree.
And then definitely some vodka. That would be spectacular.
I think that would be incredible.
Because I like vodka and cranberry sometimes, and vodka and this would be perfect.
I think you're right.
Not that it needs it, but wow.
No, I think it would be a really good mixer.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, and you guys put in your own orchard in 2017.
We did.
And roughly where is it from here in Bozeman?
It's about 10 miles north of Bozeman at the foothills of the Bridgers.
Yep. So when you're at Matt Brewing and you look out of Matt Brewing and you sit on their outside deck, that's the Bridgers right there.
Exactly.
Yep. And so if you don't know what that is, go to Matt Brewing and look.
That's right.
But the Bridger's amazing because we've got all around us, we have mountain ranges. We've got Spanish Peaks. We've got the Tobacco Roots. We've got the Bridgers. Is there a fourth one that I'm forgetting? I don't remember. It doesn't matter. But and what's the elevation though at your?
We're right at about a mile high.
So your apple orchard is about a mile high.
It is, and we are subject to the elements. We've got hail and snow and the summer and cold temperatures in the winter and wind blasting down the hills. And so they're tortured little fruit, but they're going to make great cider.
Wow. And roughly how many different varieties did you plant?
We've got about 30 different varieties of American, English, and French cider varietal apples.
Yeah, and the fancy term for that in the cider industry is those are spitters.
Yes.
And for those that, I'm sure many of the listeners know exactly what a spitter is, but the first time I heard about a spitter, I go, what's a spitter? And they go, well, it's not a dessert apple. And I go, well, what's a dessert apple? I want a dessert apple. That just sounded so incredible to me. And they go, it's anything you can buy at the store. And I go, what? And they go, that's a dessert apple. What's a spitter? And they gave me one. And I took a bite, and you spit it out. Because there's so many tannins.
Yeah.
You cannot eat it.
No.
But it makes for perfect cider apples.
Exactly.
So 30 different varieties.
Yes.
So you planted in 2017, and given how cider apple trees grow, you're probably just now getting a small crop?
We're getting a very small crop right now.
And then every year it'll increase a little bit. Yes.
Yep.
But you're at the front end of finally, because you plant and then you wait.
Yes.
That old saying.
It's an exercise in patience.
Yeah, you reap in a different season than you sow, and people don't realize that.
That's right. Well put. Yes.
The laws of the harvest. I'm thinking of doing a teaching on that, but because some people don't realize, there's a lot of cool things keying off of that. But just now you're finally so what was it like when you finally able to pick, cider apples from your orchard and after a couple years of waiting?
Oh gosh, it's incredible. And the kids are out there and they're tasting them and puckering and sometimes spitting, but it's just so cool.
Do you love making cider?
Oh, it's great. Yes, I love it.
What are some of the things that you love about it?
Well, I didn't realize how much it was so much about, I love the cider itself, but it's also just so much about people and the great people that we have working for us and the customers and the community we get to work with and all the different organizations. And then you get to tie in agriculture, which is a whole other community. So it's just really dynamic.
Yeah. And all the people that I've been around in the cider business, they're a different breed.
Fair enough.
And they march. I don't mean that in a bad way. They march to the beat of a different drummer.
Yes.
But they're just generally amazing. And it makes sense to me, that you grew up in, what's the name of the town you grew up in?
Eagle River, Alaska.
Eagle River, Alaska. Because that kind of hardiness to grow up there. How cold did it get in the winter?
It's not so bad. Maybe 20 below. It's a lot like Bozeman, but
only 20 below. But that kind of hardiness. That's good prep to be a cider maker. Because that's those kind of people there are, and it's hard work making cider.
Yep.
Not that's not hard work, making beer, etc. But it's hard work, and you're, it's not as popular as beer, as cool and sexy as being a brewer.
Now, come on.
So here's what I'll give you to your cider fan base. Cider fan bases are militant, and they love their cideries.
Yes.
And I know I've run into fans of Lockhorn here in Bozeman, and they love what you guys do.
They do. We've had people who have had to move away and didn't want to because of us and come back and buy cases, and it's really sweet.
Okay. And then speaking of things to love, does Bozeman feel like home now?
Oh, yes. Yep.
And so there's a lot of amazing things to like about Bozeman of all different kinds. What are some of the things that resonate with you?
Well, it's just so beautiful. It feels like a really balanced place. We have 4 really balanced seasons that are all beautiful in their own way, and the community is just incredible. The people are amazing. They're really authentic and just good-hearted folks.
Yeah, I was going to say lots of authenticity here.
Yes.
Yeah, just and a sense of community in the sense that if you put out on Facebook, hey, we need everyone to come help us with something.
Yes.
You would have a lot of people show up. You'd have fans of the cider show up. You'd have personal friends show up. You'd have neighbors show up.
It's true,
because that's the kind of that sounds really nostalgic or Norman Rockwell-ish, for lack of a better term, but that really is how Bozeman feels to me.
Yeah. Well, a great example of that is yesterday we picked apples for a woman who's got 100 trees that are over 100 years old, doesn't know what to do with them. We've connected with her to say, we'd love to make them into cider. She says, wonderful, thank you. And we invited friends, and the university got involved, and we had about 15 people out there picking apples. We picked 2 bins of apples, and the kids are running around, and it's just great.
It was a beautiful day for it.
It was gorgeous. Yep.
Oh, man. Yeah, the time to visit Montana is in the summer or early fall. I've been here in January. It's a little different deal. Right?
I love it here in January. So the difference between Bozeman and Alaska in the winter is that when it's 20 below in Alaska, it's dark. And you may see the sun, but you don't feel it. Now here, the sun comes out and you can feel it. It's got a little bit of chutzpah to it.
And so if you were inside and you were sitting in front of a window where the sun is shining, you'd actually feel the warmth of the sun.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So when people complain about 20 below here, I go, I feel the sun.
and seeing
nice.
it. Yeah. Portland, we get a lot of rain. We don't see the sun a lot in the winter.
No, that's right. It's
just
similar.
Gray skies. It's not dark, but it's gray skies. And then when the sun comes out, it's like, what's that strange?
And you have to be in it.
Yeah.
Right? Soak it up.
Yeah. Well, Anna, it's been a delight to have you on the Craft Beer Podcast. I love your cider. It's pretty amazing. It's great to finally get around here to tell your story. You guys do a fantastic job. I'm excited to watch and see how the rebrand goes, and wish you all the success as you expand to Montana throughout the whole state. And then, just because I'm jealous, then I want you to expand, not jealous, but I love it, to other places where eventually you could have distribution right in Portland. That would be awesome.
That would be great.
Yeah, I love that. Not that we don't have a lot of amazing cider makers ourselves. We're blessed with a plethora, but just having some of your stuff here, that would be fantastic. Well, again, thank you so much for joining us on the Craft Beer Podcast.
Thank you.
Cheers.